The paper we're diving into today is from the 6th Conference on AI Music Creativity, AIMC 2025. It's titled, The Artist is Present, Evidence of Artists Residing and Spawning in Text-to-Audio AI.
And this one is a really big deal. It's basically a roadmap for auditing the latent space of these commercial black box models. If you're into ML governance or creative IP, this is essential.
Okay, let's get the key insights right up top because they are massive. First off, text-to-audio systems, your Udios, your Sunos, they're trained on these huge secret data sets.
And the paper shows they are demonstrably encoding the very distinct sonic signatures of specific artists. We're talking about everyone from Bon Iver to Philip Glass.
Right. And second, this isn't some random accident. The research proves you can systematically access these artist-specific zones, which the authors call microlocations, inside the model's latent space.
And the way they do it is the clever part. They use these meta tag-based prompt constellations, basically hyper-specific bundles of descriptors from public sites like Rate Your Music.
And these act like coordinates to triangulate the artist.
Exactly. So the takeaway is profound. Artists' creative work isn't just inspiration, it's foundational, retrievable material in the model. And that forces a huge conversation about attribution, consent, and, the ethical governance of all this.
All right, let's unpack that, starting with just the sheer scale of this shift. I mean, the context here is wild. TTA platforms like Udio are generating something like 10 songs per second.
Per second. That's pushing close to 1 million tracks a day. And these aren't just, throwaway experiments. We're seeing real commercial impact.
Like the Metro Boomin BBL Drizzy remix or those Velvet Sundown tracks getting serious streams. The whole structure of music production is changing right now.
It is. So the question becomes, what are these things built on? What's the data? And that leads you straight to this transparency gap.
The core problem, really.
Right. If you look at the academic models, Music LM, Music and Stable Audio, they're pretty open about their architecture, their training data, more or less. You know what's in the box.
But with the commercial giants, Udio and Suno, it's a complete black box. No details on data, on licensing, nothing. And that opacity is why a paper like this is so necessary.
And people suspected this for a while. There was already suggestive evidence. Remember the Newton-Rex experiment?
Oh, yeah, where he tried to get around the filters using these roundabout prompts.
Exactly. He'd prompt something like, a 70s pop hit by a Swedish band that rhymes with Faba about dancing queens.
And what came out was suspiciously close to ABA.
Very close. Melodic contours, lyric fragments like, we can jive. I mean, for a model to come up with that independently is just, it's basically impossible unless it was trained on the real thing.
And then there are the inadvertent artifacts the RIAA documented, things that aren't even music.
Right. Producer watermarks, the Cash Money AP tag popping up, or a vocal run that sounds exactly like Jason Derulo.
Wow.
Those are specific to commercial recordings. It's a smoking gun for what's in the training data.
Yeah.
Even the user interfaces themselves give the game away.
I've seen this. You type in an artist's name, say, Radiohead.
And the system just swaps it out for a bundle of tags, right? Art rock, alternative, electronic.
Yeah.
It's showing you its work. It's telling you how it maps an artist's identity to a set of attributes. And that idea is the bridge to the technical core of this paper, navigating the latent space.
Okay, let's get into that framework. For the engineers listening, how should we be thinking about this latent space?
The best way to think about it is as a huge navigable map, a high-dimensional territory of all possible music. Your text prompts are the coordinates, the semantic nodes, that guide you to different regions on that map.
So a prompt like electronic and melancholic points the model to a certain neighborhood on this map.
Exactly, and the paper uses this concept of a rhizomatic structure from Deleuze and Guattari. For our purposes, just think of a massive tangled root system. It's not a straight line from A to B. It's a web where everything is interconnected.
Which would explain why a simple prompt can give you such varied results, but a really complex one narrows it down so much.
Precisely. Yeah. And that gets us to what they call the hierarchy of precision. Your simple prompts, the macro clusters, cast a wide net. You type art pop, and you land in this big fuzzy region that bleeds into indie electronic and alternative R&B.
But the real discovery here was getting past those fuzzy borders.
Right, into the microclusters. This is where you use a super dense, high granularity prompt. Not just jazz, but 1960s modal jazz, acoustic bass, piano trio, Bill Evans, melancholic, introspective, brushed drums.
That level of specificity is like giving it a GPS coordinate.
That's the perfect analogy. It's triangulation. And the researchers realized that public databases like Rate Your Music are a gold mine for these coordinates. They have these incredibly detailed album-level descriptors.
So you take that whole constellation of meta tags.
And you use it as a proxy for the artist's name. You're giving the model a prompt so specific that it functionally locks onto that artist's identity, even if their name is blocked by the UI.
Which proves the model has deeply encoded those attributes.
Yes. The hit rate for getting an artist-specific output goes way up. It shows these micro-locations are real, stable nodes in the network.
So how did they actually test this? What was the protocol?
It was very systematic. They'd pick a target artist, compile the full list of tags from RYM, and then feed that exact prompt into Udio without the artist's name.
And because it's a probabilistic system, they'd run it multiple times.
Exactly. 5 to 10 generations per prompt, just to make sure the results were consistent and not a one-off fluke.
And what about when the system's filters actually caught on and blocked a prompt?
That led to another huge finding. The moderation is brittle. It's just a surface-level check. If a specific string of tags was blocked,
Let me guess, they just shuffled them.
they just reordered the exact same tags, and it sailed right through the filter, but it still accessed the same deep encoding in the latent space.
So the real knowledge is in the embeddings, not the simple text filter on the front end.
Absolutely. So to organize all this evidence, the paper sets up 3 modes of artist presence. It's a really useful framework.
Let's walk through them.
Okay, first is sonic fingerprinting. This is the big one. It's when the model reproduces an artist's distinct voice or instrumental technique with extremely high fidelity.
So it literally sounds like that person singing.
Yes, that's the strongest possible evidence. Second is compositional resonance. This is more about capturing the artist's musical grammar,
Yeah.
their harmonic language, their song structures, but not necessarily their exact timbre.
So it sounds like a song they would have written.
Precisely. And the third is aesthetic aura. This is the most abstract. It's about capturing the vibe, the mood, the specific production style, like tape hiss or a certain kind of reverb.
Okay, so 3 levels. Their sound, their writing style, and their overall vibe.
Exactly. It shows the model is learning music on all these different levels of abstraction.
And before we get to the case studies, let's be super clear on one point. This is spawning, not just playing back a sample.
A vital distinction, yes. This is what the paper calls rhizomatic propagation. The tags activate a whole network of learned associations from the artist's work, and the model generates a brand new waveform that just happens to share all those core characteristics. It's resynthesis, not retrieval.
Got it. Okay, let's see how this works in practice. First up, Philip Glass, a perfect example of compositional resonance.
Right. Glass's music is so structured with those repetitive arpeggiated patterns, super recognizable. And back in May 2024, you could just type Philip Glass into Udio.
And what came out?
It was textbook Glass. The outputs had those same cyclic arpeggios, the additive rhythms. It was clear the model had encoded his entire compositional grammar as a retrievable pattern.
And this case also showed how fast the platforms are reacting, right?
It really did.
Yeah.
By February 2025, Udio was blocking the name Philip Glass. But it didn't matter. The researchers just used the tags the system itself suggested, minimalism, modern classical, and got the same results. The filter was on the outside. The knowledge was still deep inside.
Okay, next up, William Basinski. This is a great choice because he's so niche and his whole thing is about process, the aesthetic of tape decay.
He's a perfect stress test. Does the training data go this deep? To target his sound, they used a prompt focused entirely on process and mood. Tape music, ambient, hauntology, funereal, lethargic.
So really abstract stuff.
Totally. And the results were stunning. The output had that specific tape-wear sound, the slow pacing, that whole hauntological affect. It proved the model isn't just learning notes and chords, it's learning complex production techniques. The fact they could find both Glass and Basinski suggests the training data is just immense.
All right, now for what you called the smoking gun. Bon Iver, the gold standard for sonic fingerprinting.
This is where it gets undeniable. The target was Justin Vernon's unique processed falsetto from the 22 A Million album. They fed in the full RYM tag set. Glitch pop, ambient pop, male vocalist, sampling, mechanical, surreal.
What did they get?
Even with the randomness, they consistently got outputs that were a direct reproduction of Vernon's vocal timbre. That specific auto-tune effect, the formant coloring. That's not something a model just dreams up. That is his sonic fingerprint, plain and simple.
And this is where the platform really tried to block them.
Oh yeah. Udio started flagging that exact combination of tags, giving moderation errors, but the filter was just looking for that specific sequence of words.
So it's like a password checker that only works if you type the letters in the right order.
A perfect analogy. The researchers just reordered the exact same tags and boom, the filter was bypassed and they were right back in Bon Iver's microlocation, spawning more tracks. It just shows how easy it is to get around these surface-level defenses.
And the paper mentions they found this for others too, like Ariel Pink's lo-fi sound and the Beach Boys' harmony, so it's a widespread phenomenon.
It is. Which brings us to a key technical concept: recursive generative stability.
Okay, what does that mean for a user?
It means once you've found that microlocation, once you've generated a track that sounds like Bon Iver, you can hit the remix or regenerate button, and the model will keep the core features, like that vocal sound, while creating endless new variations. It becomes a self-propagating style.
Wow. So this ability to induce such specific proximity to an artist, it really forces us back to the ethical questions.
It completely changes the conversation from vague influence to systematic retrieval of an artistic identity. It raises immediate questions about consent and attribution.
And it highlights this urgent need for transparency, not just about what data they used, but how they curate it.
Absolutely. We need new ways to evaluate these models, tools that can tell the difference between general style and the kind of direct sonic fingerprinting we're seeing here. The artist is, as the title says, present in the machine.
So the takeaway is pretty clear. With the right prompt engineering, you can systematically locate and spawn content from these artist-conditioned zones, and the filters are basically just window dressing. The real intelligence is in the latent space.
Which leaves us with a really tough architectural challenge for the whole community. If these models are already so deeply encoded with artists' signatures, and if UI-level filters are so easy to bypass, what do you do? What fundamental changes at the level of the model's architecture or its embedding space would you need to make to genuinely prevent this latent residence without also destroying the model's overall quality?
That is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Something for all of you out there building these systems to really chew on.